Straw Hats have finally made it to Skypiea, and we learned a little bit more about the civilization that lives above the clouds. It's a lot more welcoming than I expected. I expected them to immediately come with some sort of confrontation, and I suppose they did in the middle layer. But when they got to this top layer, they were actually greeted by some really nice people. An angel called Conis, who was playing the harp, and her father, Pagaya, as well as their little pet, Sue, all were very welcoming to the Straw Hat Pirates, even introduced them to their basically their civilization and what they function on, and that is with these dials, which all have different sort of functions. So you have a dial that can store wind, and that can be used to power like boats and other vehicles and stuff like that. You have dials that can be used for cooking, dials that can be used for light sources. Essentially, this civilization functions alongside these dials. If it didn't have that, it wouldn't be nearly as advanced as it is with, technology or that other sort of thing. So it's quite cool to learn like the actual intricacies of this civilization, the Sky People, and how they actually function. But the best part about this is the fact that they discovered the waiver, which was something that Noland said about in his fairy tale, in his book, which, I mean, just goes to prove that Noland wasn't lying, at least about that. It goes to prove a little bit more that Noland, what he was saying in these books, or what he was saying in his the book that he wrote, was the truth. He wasn't just lying, and we sort of know that already. But seeing the pieces start to actually sort of come together, and seeing different things that he actually was telling the truth about actually come to fruition, I think is really exciting. I love stuff like this, like these little mysteries and puzzles that start sort of slowly forming as you watch. I think it's really great. Hopefully we learn the full truth about Nolan one day. But again, seeing the fact that the waiver actually exists and Skypiea exists just gives me even more faith that we'll learn more about the actual truth about Nolan and if everything he was saying was the truth. But one of my favorite parts about this episode was just seeing the Straw Hats having a good time. It seems very frequent right now where every time they reach a new island or a new, group of people, they're met with immediate hostility, or they're met with a really bad situation, But in this situation, when they got to Skypiea, like I said, they had a really welcoming greeting, and they're just having a good time sort of discovering this land and what it's all about and how it all works, and the clouds and its fruit and its people and the wildlife and all that sort of stuff. It's just really nice seeing the Straw Hats just, adventure and see this new world altogether. And Robin said something quite early on, which I thought was interesting, was she's never seen like setting sail as an adventure before. Like to her, it's always been about work and this dream she's chasing, the real history, the thing she's trying to achieve, working with notorious people. And now she's just having an adventure with the Straw Hats, and I think that's really lovely. However, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, because Nami may have just fucked up by taking the waiver to a place where apparently she should never go, according to Conis and Pagaya. I feel like they probably should have told her this, but she's gone to somewhere called the Upper Yard, the place where the god lives. And I mean, that's just intimidating as fuck to sound in general. And we know before they headed to Skypiea, when they're in that middle section, the angel lady said that she wants to, let God's divine wrath upon them because they didn't pay the 7 billion toll or whatever it was. So this could get quite ugly. I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen, but like a place called that, the Upper Yard where the god lives, is very scary. So I feel like this niceness that's happening in Skypiea right now, this genuine pleasantness, probably won't last very long. But regardless, I'm absolutely buzzing that the Straw Hats are finally in Skypiea. I can't wait to learn more about the civilization and how the whole land works. I think it's going to be really exciting, and I'm very intrigued to see what happens next. So yeah, let's do it.